Go ahead. So we're holding, yeah. Just gonna mute all. Okay. It's page 30 in the middle of towards the end of his Dalet. So let's remember again what the whole subject is, the whole flow is. That is that Bakesel Yom Chagenu. It's not only that Aleph, which conventionally represents Chachma. It's not only Chachma Stuma, not only Chachma Gluya, Alofim are withdrawn, as it were, Erev Rosh Hashanah, and there's a new HaMashacha from there, but that includes Bina as well. So first he said, because the Trei Rein Lemisparshim, that Chachma engenders Bina. But then Be'emes, that's true in terms of the process. But Be'emes, Bina has its own source in the Koyach HaMaskil. And therefore it's also an Aleph. It's also a primary source. So Aleph Bina means, it seems, that Bina is also an Aleph. That's the Gemara, Aleph Bina, which simply means learn wisdom. But the remez here is, I don't know if I said it this way before, but it occurs to me now, that simply, or not simply, Aleph Bina is also an Aleph. It's not just a secondary darged that emerges from Chachma. So therefore, Bakesel Yom Chagenu is Keilal, what's concealed is not only Chachma but Bina. We explained that to mean that not only does Hashem withdraw the essential vision of Ishtarshalus, but even the manifested Pratim also withdrawn at whatever level Bina is on its many levels. So let's continue. Then he wanted to explain that Bina therefore is also hinted in the very word Aleph, because the top koitz is the Koyach HaMaskil, and then the line is the Hamshacha, that's the Sidus, and then there's the bottom ketz, that's Bina. The Tzimtzum, the Sidus of the Tzimtzum, that's the Hamshacha. He brought from the Zohar that Ava b'mazola is klila. The Zohar uses the word mazel constantly. Mazel means source. So that means. So it's a relative term. But the point of the Zohar is that the Zohar includes Abba v'ima b'mazola is klilu, both equally. In the source, in the Koyach HaMaskil, that's the diuk he wants to bring from the Zohar. And therefore, it also is alluded to in the letter Aleph. V'zeh Pirish, now up to V'zeh Pirish, which is page 30, or at least
the middle of the paragraph.
Yeah, it's the second last word, middle of the paragraph. I don't know if it's the middle or not. You might have a different text. For those who are watching, for those who download, yeah, it's the middle of the paragraph. If you look at the footnotes, so it would be the nearest footnote. It's above 34, below between 33 and 34. Everybody has it, yeah. So the Rebbe asked earlier, the Chayre the Stira in the pasuk about Chesed la'alofim. Chesed meaning Chesed referring to the Eibish's original Lamshacha, as it were, Ki Chafetz Chesed, and the Shaila was in one place it's Noitzer Chesed, another place it's Oiser Chesed. The answer is going to be now Chachma and Bina. He pointed out the difference between Noitzer and Oiser. Noitzer is Hamshacha, it's through a Tzimtzum, it's preserved, it's not Begiloi, all of these meanings of the word Noitzer. Oiser means finished, done, complete, manifested, concrete. Now we have the answer, because Chachma is, by its very nature, even after it's Hamshacha, Chachma is an akudah, and Bina is a Melashon Binyan, as it's brought in Chassidus sometimes, a building. So therefore it's appropriate. That's why Oiseh, Chesed, La'alofim, that's referring to Bina. That's what he's going to explain now, but with more detail. So, Pidish Oiseh chesed la'alofim. And that's the meaning of, not as it stated, you give me the sarachim, it's noitze, but here's oise, shekoil ala bina, because here it's referring to the alofim. There's two aleph here. So first he teaches two aleph, chachma stima, chachma gluya. And now we have a more nuanced teach, a deeper teach. The two alofim is chachma and bina. Aleph bina. Oh. Are we clear? I hope you got all this nuance, because it's not so obvious in the mind, but that's what he's saying. Yeah? So this is v'oiseh chesed la'alofim shekoil ala bina. So alef, understand how goes on bina as well. And oiseh, because oiseh koil gmar hamshocha v'hagilui, oiseh means it's done. So it refers to the completion of the hamshocha, the revelation of it. As it's known in the three olamas, and therefore the appropriate names for each one, Bria, Yetzirah, Nasiya. Namely, the Bria in Yonah Efshira Mitzias. Bria, it's all relative, but Bria is the possibility for Mitzias, like a potential, a relative potential for Mitzias. There's all kinds of Yechelis for Seichel, Yechelis for Oir. So here's the Yechelis for Mitzias. That's Bria. It's unformed. It's matter, but unformed, as it were. I mean, Ruchni is the matter, of course. Yitzira formation implies a general tzura. In other words, not yet having descended into elaborate detail and pratim and finitude. Nasiya means the completion of the process. Fixed, literally. Now, since the aleph of bina, its whole nature is, what's bina? It's b'merchav, it's broad, many details. Again, lashon binyan, and whole edifice with various floors and rooms. That's why this pasuk says v'oiseh chesed. And that's also, therefore, this is also withdrawn. That's all the whole general context. Remember where all this is going. Not to lose the forest because of the trees. Again, noitze means to preserve, to conceal, to hold back, and to reveal only at a later time. That's because that's the appropriate term for chachma, which is nekuda. And also tzinner, which means it doesn't come b'goloi, tzimtzum, shakel al tzimtzum kanal, a contracted state. That's chachma. Aval bino shebemerchav nema b'va'isa, but by bino it says va'isa. Yeah. And this is what it explains also elsewhere. Again, it's all pointing to Imre Bina. Chachma, it's exactly what we're saying now. Its shorish is, again, mazel means source. That's what it means. Noitze, the level of noitze. Shorish Bina is b'chinas mazel v'nakeh, the next word. To the next word. Not the end. At the end of Yigim Sarachmi, it says v'nakeh, which means literally to cleanse. At any rate, so that's the marker, the separate marker of Bina. She'inyan noitze v'oiseh chesed. I'm sorry. She'inyan noitze v'oiseh. These two terms, noitze chesed. Oiseh chesed, l'ugmas noitze v'nakeh. Now I can't explain the connection to the word v'nakeh and where it appears in the pasuk. It doesn't offer any more, and Imre Bina he might, but I didn't look at it. But Prati is, in more detail, he adds the following. Because everything is biskalulos, so now we're separating the two. We're saying Noitzer is Chachma and Noitzer is Bina, but the Prati is Noitzer also first to Bina. And moreover, the other side as well. Other side of the coin, Bechinas V'oiseh Koi Gam Ala Chachma. If you probe deeper, both dargas are there in both places. And why is that? Because they are integrated. But in general, we separate the two psukim. Like explained elsewhere, this idea is also expressed in the Yud-K household. In general, Yud Chachma vehi bina. We separate the two. Proteus, Mitzadiskalis the Chachma bina here too. Yud and Hey, of course, Chachma bina because of the integration. So we find both dargis in both letters. In the Keitza Tachten should be Yud bina, but even in the Yud already there's bina. The Hey remez is Gamal Chachma, and in Hey, the three strokes of the Hey is also the allusion to Chachma. So the Proteus they're integrated, but Becholas they're separate. Now, so what are we left with? We're left with again, that the Aleph is niskase, is concealed, there's a withdrawal, the whole kavanah Briyas Ha'olam, which is expressed dafki in Echad, because Echad is where the kavanah is expressed, namely, that in that Welt, that in Das Tachten should be the knowledge of Das Elyon. That's the whole kavanah. That's another way of saying that the Tachten should know the truth of Yochid. That's what Echad is. Echad is the memutza, the intermediary, that the Tachten should know that there's an Eibishter in the truest and absolute sense. The Protim, there's these two Maimorim to explain this Kesed, this concealment of the Aleph, which is the first letter of the word Echad. It's going to go on to explain now Ches and Dalet. And how it's a memutza, there was a whole arichas in how these dargas and memutza, because they are straddled both in the Elyon and the Tachten. So that's the Koyach HaMaskil. And now we learned that the Koyach HaMaskil is not only the source of Chachma, but the source also of Bina. So therefore, in conclusion, what's withdrawn is Alafim. Actually, now we have three levels of Aleph. Alafim. Aleph, Chachma, Gluya, Chachma, Astuma. Aleph also, Aleph Bina, Chachma Bachlal, and all of its dargis, as well as Bina as well, because Bina is its own sherish and Koyach HaMaskil. It's also represented by the letter Aleph, as explained, and that's also withdrawn, and that's hinted to in Oiseh Chesed, in Oiseh Chesed Alafim, yeah, Noitzeh Chesed Alafim and Oiseh Chesed LaAlafim, Aleph, because both the Aleph represents Chachma and Bina. And that's why they don't appropriate terms of Noitzeh v'Chachma and Oiseh v'Chesed, even though Protis, they're Biskalalas, but Bechlolalas, that's the distinction. And all this means again that the Eibishter is withdrawing his whole kavanah Briyas Ha'olam, not only on the vision statement or the vision Giloi, which is Chachma, but even the Protim. The Eibishter says, you draw it back out from me on every level. And there's nothing, the whole structure is removed. Not just the kavanah of the structure, which is Chachma. But Bina, which is already the Protim. That's how radical Kol HaDvorim Chayzim L'Kadmusam is. That's all to bring out the radical Hamshacha Chadosha that the Yid is Pearl Rosh Hashanah, but still Behelem, and this is a Sukkos Maimer, and the Gilui of it is in Sukkos and Beprotius and Simchas Beis She'eva and the Rikudim, and all the Protim the Maimer began with that he will return to at the end. So we're clear on the whole flow? Yeah. All right, now Eishei. The language is just not the language of this Maimer. It's not like the style of the Maimarim later, for sure not. But it's similar to Imre Bina. It's similar to Ayin Beis and Samach Vav. Those Maimarim. A lot of footnotes to Samach Vav as well. And the Samachs. This expression, Me'atat Tzarech Levayer, is not found in the Maimarim too much. But in this kind of Maimer, what the Rebbe is peeling back the nuances and the layers of the Dargis, it's interesting that it follows, it's a similar shyness. At any rate, now that we've explained Aleph, Now it's left for us to explain the letters Ches and Dalet in the word Echad, which is the Memutze between Yochid and Voed, of which Aleph is the primary letter. And as we learned earlier, it's important to remember that Al Pi Torah in Torah, the first letter of the word is the Inyan Kloli of the word. So the whole Inyan of Echad is expressed in Aleph, Bechlolus. And now, Beprotis and the Ches and the Dalet. We pointed out that Rashi Tevis is not just an abbreviated way to know something. It's an Inyan, the Rashi Tevis, because the first letters taka are the klal of the word that follows. Yeah, so not finished with Chachma. Ches also is Maramas on Chachma. Sharei. Where do we see that? First of all, Ascholas Tevis Chachma, who is Ches. The first letter of the word Chachma is a Ches. So then what's the difference? So wherein lies the difference? We understand this, but the Gemara says in Berachos. What is a Yid supposed to think when he says Echad? So the Gemara says he should say it kad until he's consciously amlichte, declaring God's sovereignty, lamaydo, lamata, above and below. That's the Ches. Into the four directions. Oh, so what do we see? So Ches is upper and lower. That's what it hints to. The number 8 in brackets, of course, the Zayin Rikim Va'odetz, the 7 heavens and earth. So even though both of them refer to Chachma, already in Ches, unlike Chachma itself, or as it's expressed in Aleph, it's in the Kudah, here already there's the allusion to upper and lower, Mashenkin Beis Aleph, which we will now explain. Yeah, we're good, we're all... Dini b'Chachma yesh beis madreges. So in Chachma there's 2 darges. Tchilas is got me talking about in its gilu, not talking the shirish now. I'm talking about in the manifested Chachma. Not as the root in Kerech HaMaskil, and then the etzem Kerech HaYuli. I'm talking now the gilu of Chachma. Now again, just on the point of the obvious, why are we, racking our brains over this? Because this is how the Eibishter is manifesting himself, and therefore he's created us in his divine image, so that we can understand him by understanding the way our nefesh works. Hashem says, "Get to know me here, beprati." It's not just a general, "Hi, how are you?" When an intimate relationship is probing the depths of the other and experiencing the other. So 2 dargis in Chachma, Tchilas, is Galus HaChachma, V'Gmar is Galus. There's the beginning of the emergence of Chachma and its completion. Let's see how it works for us. Moshe Badam Lamata, I haven't learned further really, so we're doing this together. Kashem is Yageya Be'ez Inyan Sheyesh B'Kushya. A person toils about something that he has a difficulty. That's often how Chachma works. You're trying to find a solution to something, try to understand something. You're learning a text, you know it's true, you don't understand it. So you toil, and after toiling, the first stage is this illuminates him, this is a real experience, where what? The idea starts to illuminate in his mind. So he understands. There's a level of understanding here that he's got it. That means right.
What is right?
He got it. He's got it. He's grasped it. No, of course. He's learning a piece of Gemara. Of course the text is right. He's right. His understanding is correct. But the level of understanding is it's a sense that I've got it, but he doesn't understand the inyan at all. Let him elaborate. At this stage, the details, he's far from understanding, grasping it on a detailed plane. Basoga the bina, it's far from bina where it's laid out and there's words, etc. Elo shegam nekudas hachachma eino musages etzloi. He can't even articulate it as a formula, as an akuda. He can't even do that. So what does he have? He just feels as das is recht, that what he's seeing now, it's a very fleeting stage, but he's grasped it. He's got it. There's something that's opened up. He was in a state of darkness before. I think it was a whole mystery, and now it's starting to. He's grasping the yisoid mamish, the yisoid of the inyan, and he could easily lose it if he distracts his mind, and it's gone. He's going to hang on to that and then bring it into Chachma Gluya and then go down to Bina. He'll complete the process. But there's this a deep epiphany where he knows he's on the road. He knows that something has clicked and that he's going to be able to fully grasp and analyze the subject. This is not the Keich HaMaskel. Keich HaMaskel is the potential for all ideas. We're talking about a specific subject, a specific text, a svarihi, an inyan. He's trying to grasp. The Keich HaMaskel level is no particular idea. Even though it's the potential for ideas, and he points out in brackets, Seichel Yuli is one step removed. Like we give the mashal of the actually, he's going to give another mashal later. I see of the tippa, but the mashal we gave was the actual stone itself, where fire is the idea, and the Keich HaMaskel was the glowing coal. But so he's saying that we're not talking any of these levels. We're way further than that, way more manifest. So Keich HaMaskel is the yuli for seichel ideas. We call mokim liyoysa yuli because it's a potential. Harimushal mitzias. It's like a potential for ideas, but there's no particular idea. There's no mitzias. There's no idea, a particular idea, a subject, a discipline that you're going to find in the Keich HaMaskel. Further detail about Keich HaMaskel. This is the difference between klal, a general idea, a general formula, or yuli, a potential. But the klal level is a further stage of manifestation where the details are not expressed concretely but are present. The way the pratim are in a klal, they're in a very elevated state. Like the pratim of bina as they exist in chachma, but they are there, but in a very sublimated state. So Keich HaMaskel is deeper than that. But the Keich HaMaskel is completely removed from any kind of detail, even in a sublimated state. You kind of details there. What details? It's the potential for every idea under the sun. It's the Yuli L'kol HaMinias Sichlim. It's for all ideas. And if you could identify some mitzias of intellect, of idea, it couldn't be a yuli for every other kind of idea. So all to say that we're just finishing, when we're talking about now, the first is galus of nekudas hachachim. We are not talking Keich HaYuli, Keich HaMaskel. We're talking a particular idea, however, completely beyond articulation, even at the chachma level. He can't even express it in a nekuda. Below Yuli, above klal. That's right. Below Yuli, next step after Yuli, after Keich HaMaskel, before klal, before chachma hagluya, which already there the pratim. That's chachma hagluya is like where the pratim of bina are in chachma, like klal. Chachma hagluya is klal. Mashenkin. Did you finish this? Yes. So what are we at zeroing in over here? So let's just map the geography here in the nefesh. Keich HaMaskel, any idea? Then from there, what emerges with Keich HaMaskel in the first stage of a particular idea is chachma. It is a particular idea, but it's, how does he describe it here? Tchilis is galas hachachma. At this point, there is no pratim at all. It can't be called. It's not like the next stage where it's an akudah which contains, in a latent way, identifiable with under a strong microscope, pratim. Not yet. We're going to get a good mashal here, I see, from the Tipa. So let's hold off trying to conclude our understanding with the mashal. All right, let's go a bit further.
Basically, differentiating between Yuli Atzmi.
He didn't even talk about that. That's for sure not in the picture. Yeah, in the brackets there. Kecha maskil is for sure not kecha Yuli Atzmi. That's much further removed, even from, he said before, inyan aseichel. It's like the rock that, you look at the rock, fire, it's completely not apparent at all. But you strike it, there's kinetic energy, and it'll come out. But it's so essential there that it's not manifest at all. So it's not keicha yuli atzmi, it's not keicha maskil. It's the third, it's the next stage after that. Yes, keicha maskil is mushal from mitzias of seichel. This is already a mitzias of seichel.
But Keicha Maskil is still called Yuli the Seichel.
Relative,
Not
not yuli atzmi, but relative. That's what he's saying. It's a yuli. Yuli means an unformed state, potential. So it's relative to to a particular idea. It is unformed, but it's formed relative to the yuli atzmi. It's all also relative. It's all relative. Friend, let's remember we're talking about the Eibishter here. So we're talking about really what all of Chassidus is dealing with is this impossible reality of one God, absolute one God, manifesting all of this, these huge numbers of pratim. How does Achdus Apshuta come Ischalkus? So what Chassidus is demonstrating throughout all of Ishtalshalis is the Achdus, all the relative Achdus and Pratim, Achdus and Pratim, Achdus and Pratim. It's all the interplay of Bli Gvul and Gvul. Ultimately all rooted in Atzmos. But it's all him. And therefore there's the constant interplay. Chachma Bina, Bina Chachma, throughout Ishtalshalis you got to find that, the same model. As you go down, it just gets more manifest. But the integration, the scholarless of everything is the stamp of Ishtalshalus. It's the Eibishter. So expect oneness. Expect the constant integration and not separation, hardcore. This is this and this is that. And then we have 2 things, 10 things, 20 things, 30 things, 50 dargas. It's all one Eibishter. So continuing here, yeah? We must therefore say, we're talking about what? We're talking about that first conscious emergence. Again, the person is learning a subject and he's struggling with it, and all of a sudden the first, there's this deep, I got it. The inyan is recht. I got it. He can't even, it says before Chochma Gluya, where the nekuda of the idea shines. Now again, we'll have a moshel. I can see from the emergence of a child, it'll be easier to see. So this that he feels, it's a gilui oir that wells up from the koyach hamaskil. And what is it? The rechtkeit shel inyan, that he has now grasped it correctly, literally. It's right, I've got it quite simply. It's a particular subject that he now is getting. On the one hand, it's not the koyach hamaskil. It's already a particular, it's this subject. There's 2 stages to this. This is yet a very primal state of chachma before it's even manifested into a condensed nekuda. And then there's the nekudas haskalah, which in the end, I think Binda helps with this. But nekudas haskalah is like the formula. There's an articulated formula. It's 3 words equals MC squared. It's a formula. Which, what does this mean? It's a nekuda that's cryptic. That's already chochma gloya. But this is before he can even put this in a nekuda. It's just got it on an intellectual level, but still transcends the ability for a particular articulation, even in a nekuda. Now we're going to get illustration. So then, Chachma is revealed in a Nekuda. The second stage, Nekuda Zui Kva Mitzuyeres B'Tzir Gomor. This is Nekuda that has a real tzir, is a real idea that's been articulated here. If you open at tzir shebechachma, not in like bina is a whole book written on it, but in Nekuda, but it has a real tzir, a definition. Now, okay, Baruch Hashem, we're getting illustrations. Like it's explaining Chassidus, Ayin Beis, with respect to Hillel and Shammai, Shavshish name Kibla Mishmai Naftalian. So Hillel and Shammai were the disciples of Shmai and Naftalian. So the Pasha Teshayla, you makabel from them, how do you have different opinions? Hillel is Mezake, and then Shammai is Mechayev. Why? The way they learned Torah then on that level of Shmai and Naftalian relative to Hillel and Shammai is the level of Chachma. In other words, they got the first level of Chachma. They got it to Svara Pshuta, which then could be formed in any particular form. It's still unformed and faithful to the original Nekuda. But the original Nekuda is so transcended that it can go many ways. It can be articulated in many ways. When they got the Svar of Shmai and Naftalian in their Mayach, then it assumes the form of their Mayach, of their Keli. We clear? Moving based Dvarim. So two things emerge. Aleph. The Svar that they heard is Pshuta means simple, transcendent, defies particular articulation. Okay, got it. Maybe you can put it all together. All right. So let's go. Let's finish here. V'abeis shemikomokim hare hikva begeder amshocha. But they get it. What they got from Shmai and Naftalian is already amshocha. Not giving the koich hamaskal of Shmai Naftalian. That's why they could then take the Nekud that they got from them and give it a definition. Different definitions even. Okay, so we got that, we got a demonstration of this in Pearl Mamish, as it were, how it works in the transmission of Torah.
It's not true if Chachma be flow, though, that any concept as it's in Chachma can come out in Bina in different ways.
Even Chachma Gluya, not to the same degree, not so radically, of Mizaki and Mechayev. Again, it's all relative. It's all relative. For Yuvan we just begin this. We'll just start this. Emotional, I love this Vlad. So we'll understand this. I'm going to push it a emotional gashmi. That's always good. From the formation of a child. Shad Arbaim Yoim, so the din is the first 40 days of conception. Ma'ila, Tfilah, Shif, and Zocha, a person can daven. He should have it if he wants a son. Shenki Lachar Arbaim Yoim, it's a Tfilah Shov. It's a prayer that is forbidden. You invoke Hashem's name for nothing. So what do we see here? It's a beautiful motion. Okay, there's 3 levels to the formation of the fetus. Let's just identify them now. We'll look at it tomorrow. Oh no, tomorrow's Friday. Oh, we learn after davening tomorrow, yeah. So first there is the weight is in the tip of the father. That's no amshach at all. And then the weight's already drawn and received in the womb of the mother. At that point, at this initial stage of conception, is the tippa per se. Then the tippa, as it comes into the mother, it's still beyond any form, which is why it can change. But already now, there's hamshocha. You're going to have a child. It's going to be a boy or a girl, but a child. Then at 3rd level, it comes into a tzir, That's already after the 40 days. So now we're going to translate that in Chachma, beautiful marshal, the 3 stages, as it is in Keich HaMaskil, as it is in the beginning of the stage of Chachma, and then finally Chachma HaGluya. Why are we going into all of this? This is all to explain the difference between Aleph and Ches. Yeah.